God did not create your mind to be empty. And that means you can't not think about something. Let me give you an example. Whatever you do, for this exercise, don't think about chocolate chip cookies. Of course, I should tell you that Lisa makes the best chocolate chip cookies around. And I'm not talking the crunchy kind either. Hers are nice and chewy. When they first come out of the oven, they're amazing. They're all soft and warm, and the chocolate chips are all melty, ooey gooey. And they smell wonderful too. Her cookies are so good that for a while when we lived in Scotland, our next door neighbor offered to wash our car in exchange for some of those cookies. I made out on both sides of that deal. Okay, so what are you thinking about? You're probably thinking about where you can get some chocolate chip cookies. And that right there is an example of how we can't not think about something. This reality of how God wired our brains causes problems for a great many believers. If you remember in our last Kingdom Clips video, I shared how to stop worrying and to experience God's perfect peace. Paul tells us in Philippians to be anxious for nothing. He says to instead pass all that stuff that we worry about to God in prayer. In exchange, God gives us his perfect peace. But that's only part of the solution. It won't work if we try not to think about all the stuff that we're worrying about. No matter how hard we try, our brains are wired to think about stuff, not to not think about stuff. Fortunately, Paul goes on to tell us how to solve that problem in the very next verse. Instead of telling our brains not to think about something, we instead focus our minds on something else. Here's what Paul tells us. Finally, brethren, whatever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are of good report, if there's any virtue and if there's anything praiseworthy, meditate on these things. The only way we can move forward without worry is to replace the negative things that we worry about with positive things. Instead of trying not to think about something, we shift our focus to think about something else. That's the key to staying worry-free. Whenever some negative thought comes to you that tempts you to start worrying, pray to God and give him that negative thing. Then shift your focus away from the negative issue and focus on the sorts of things Paul tells us to meditate on in that passage from Philippians. And if you slip up and find yourself worrying again, just catch yourself. Do the process again. Pray, give God your worries, and then shift your attention to thinking about good stuff. At first, you may find you need to do that process over and over again. But it won't be long and before you actually create a new habit. And as you learn to worry less, you'll find everything in your life will start to change for the better.